My name is Sakina Hughes, and I am a professor of history and ethnic studies. I originally from Detroit, but I'm teaching outside of San Francisco now in a small Catholic school called Santa Clara University. I am from Detroit, and um, my family growing up always fascinated me. I, because my mom looks like a white person. She passes as a white person. My sister, my mom's sisters, but also there were folks in my family that were brown and like me and browner than me. And my grandma, originally from Mississippi, would talk about things like hoodoo culture, and she would have me do spells. And I knew there was Native American people that were close to us, and from where in Mississippi, where my grandparents are from. So I wanted to study race, and I think my family was very in tune to the racial issues in Detroit. And so I, I went to grad school, got my PhD on a topic that was actually a little bit earlier. I was looking at traveling musicians and traveling preachers and things like that. So movement's always been really big in my studies. But my recent project here is looking at the movement of Black women. So I really want to focus on Black women now. So being interested in this study, I knew I had to just get over here. I couldn't just read books. And so my first thought was, I'm going to apply for a Fulbright. So I'm, writing my Fulbright application and talking with other South Africanist scholars. First person I called up was Alex Lichtenstein, who's done really great work. He's at Indiana University. I also called up my friend Jill Kelly, who's in Texas, and Don Curry, who's done a lot of work here. And it's really great because they were also excited that I wanted to come here. Jill told me about JIAS. And I looked at the website. Of course, I thought, oh my gosh, this is the most beautiful place I've ever seen. I want to go there. But moreover, I started looking at the projects that people, the activists, the scholars, the educators, poets, artists, the things that they were doing. And honestly, I thought, well, I'll give it a try. I sent in the application. I feel so honored that that I'm here. Every day I meet someone, and JIAS has been so amazing in facilitating those connections and providing the space just to be able to think and write, away from teaching. So I just really appreciate this space, and I'm honored. And like I said, every day I kind of pinch myself and say, "Oh, this is my life. I'm here in this beautiful city on this beautiful campus, and everybody here is just amazing, right?" Yeah, being in Johannesburg, I know it will affect everything, and I chose Johannesburg over, Cape Town or over Durban or some other cities. One, because I've only heard great things about Johannesburg, right? And I have several friends that have studied here, have come here to do research, and of course, they've told me many wonderful things. Johannesburg to me seems like a place where multiracial democracy is moving along in a way that I don't see it moving along in Detroit, for instance. And everywhere I know has its problems. Maybe in America we have some things that, South African folks don't have, but I see very clearly that there are things here that I would not experience, I would not see or not understand if I had just stayed in America. So I'm writing about Black women and girls moving into formerly or traditionally white spaces, either schools or work, neighborhoods, other institutions, and not so much activists, because I see there are activists that have written, and there's literature on the student activists, but just really normal people like me. When I was a kid, I was just trying to keep my head down and work, right, and get ahead, and there were so many obstacles, and I see that with my students. So that's what I want to write about. Initially, I thought I'd do a memoir, but I really realized that I had there was something bigger, obviously it's bigger than me, and I knew that from the beginning, but I decided, that question of how do we define equality, how do we define, progress in a multiracial democracy, who's defining that, and how are they defining it? That's a bigger question for the whole of America and the world. And South Africa is a place that I always followed. We had the anti-apartheid movement in the U.S. and I followed Biko and followed the history of Mandela, and so I was very interested in coming here because the things that I'd read here were so progressive in a lot of ways that I had not heard in the U.S. And so I started to, I thought, well, I need to come here and get these perspectives, and then I can really talk about what freedom, equality, and progress mean in a multiracial democracy by doing a comparative study.